What's up, nerds? It's your boy, the OG GM, coming to you live, maybe, on a foggy Friday morning here at Site B on a small island off the coast of Costa Rica, or in sunny Ventura, California, except it's been foggy. It is the 14th day of April 2023. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning. It's time to take a look at all the tabletop role-playing game news, bits and bobs we might have missed because we were too busy focusing all our attention at Wizards of the Coast did this week. Because it's Wizards of the Coast. I think we can just, the sun will always rise somewhere. Gravity always works somewhere. The electromagnetic spectrum exists somewhere. And if it's a day that ends in the letter Y, Wizards of the Coast will do something weird. But there are other game companies out there, so let's go and check up what's going on with them, starting with Paizo. Hey, Paizo, what's going on with the ORC after your big announcement that you had a first draft ready? We went through the first draft and we made absolutely no sense of it. So it has been tossed out into the wilds to see if people smarter than us have made any steps in understanding it. And as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Discords all open about trying to understand what it means and what you can and cannot do with it. So yes, we are hoping one of the many RPG lawyer types that are out there who've recorded in the past about this nonsense will step forward and say, all right, I read this and now I'm going to try and explain it to the rest of you because, lawyers. So I guess we're waiting now for a second and final print. The first thing we saw was the working print, so it's still in the drafting, so it's not technically legal yet, but it's pretty damn close. And so far, I think everybody's cautiously optimistic. There's a couple clauses in there. There's a morality clause we're a little concerned with because it's kind of vague. There's the who owns what clause that's kind of vague that we're hoping to dust off and get some better answers for. But for right now, this one seems to be good. Okay, yeah. Let's move on to the next thing we're asking questions about. Hey, Kobold Press, what's going on with Project Black Flag that you then renamed to Tales of the Valiant? Looks like nothing. Page hasn't changed since they changed the name. We have no new information on what's going on. And as we know from the last time we read through this doesn't really make a lot of sense to me anyways. It seems to sort of say that there's going to be two separate projects that both fall under what used to be Project Black Flag, which may or may not fall under the ORC. So the ORC is still the top of the pyramid. And then we get below the pyramid and we have their SRD, which is Core Fantasy Role-Playing, which they're planning on releasing under their SRD that's not an SRD. And then they're also going to be releasing what are we calling this thing again? Tales of the Valiant. I still haven't quite fallen in love with the name. I get the feeling they're trying to get, sort of the epic, pulp, classic fantasy Tales of Conan and Tales of the Valiant, but it also sounds like one of those Marvel 2-in-1s that used to run all in the 70s and 80s and early 90s. Tales of the Valiant featuring Spider-Man and The Vision. Tales of the Valiant featuring Spider-Man and The Thing. Tales of the Valiant featuring Spider-Man and Aunt May. Remember those? So yeah, but it also sounds like Tales of the Valiant with Conan and Fafhrd the. So yeah. We've only seen a little of what they have planned because we've only seen 2 playtests so far, and now we're just like, okay, where's the rest? Because so far all you've done is copy and paste 5th edition. So we'd like a little bit more. We understand what you're trying to do. So yeah, I guess you want an engine that you can continue to make your 5e adjacent Midgard product under, just in case Wizards of the Coast will end what we now know as 5th edition and start whatever the next thing is going to be in 2024. Oh yeah, because they're 5th edition ceases to exist whenever that thing goes into life, no matter what it is they're calling it, and no matter what it is they're saying it is. You can just tell they blatantly said it's a separate edition. Where everybody is like, oh no, it's just a continuation, it's just an expansion, it's just a rewrite, it's gonna have 60 new pages, most of which are going to be art. But it's not a change. It's not nothing, you don't have to. But yeah, when Chris Perkins was talking about it at the thing, speaking of which, segues. Bam. Hey, Wizards of the Coast, what's going on in D&D Beyond since the double disaster of D&D Direct and the D&D Creator Conference? Anything new and different? Nope. We haven't updated anything since this. And this was what, December? Let's see if there's a date on this. I have to sign in to claim, and I don't have a D&D Beyond account anymore, but my friend does. But I'm not going to enter it because then you'd see their email. But yeah, so nope, nothing changed. Nothing printed coming out from the creative content conference thingy that Bob Worldbuilder and those other guys went to. Other than people saying that, yeah, it was a thing. Instructaboy is doing a lot of videos about it. Bob Worldbuilder did a little video about it. Some of the other people who went have done videos about it, but nobody's really gotten as into it as Instructaboy has. So if you want to see him talk about it, you can go over to Instructaboy and listen to him talk about the media disaster that was. But since then, nothing. We know that there are plans. We know we can expect at least 2 more between now and 2024. We know that there will be a new player's handbook out in 2024 for D&D 2024, whatever it is they're going to call it. I still like D&D Evolved, but, I also like D&D Next before they said, screw you, playtesters, we're making D&D 5th Ed, and we're going to make it our way. Thank you for wasting your time playtesting. Even though all the playtesters went, no, this is what we wanted. Yeah, so that's probably going to be the same. I don't know. You think they're going to actually listen to all the playtesters and all the stuff that people have said and actually make the copy that matches anything we've said over the past 2 years? Or are they still going to just be like, well, thank you for your input, but this is what we're going to make anyways, like they did with 5th edition? I should know this because I was part of the playtest. Hashtag Wizards of the Coast. Hashtag Wizards of the Coast, why you so cray-cray? I don't know. So yes, no new news. Okay, moving on. Thank you, Wizards of the Coast, for not telling us anything. Is there anything else going on in the tabletop role-playing game world that might be slightly important? Let's take a look. Immerse yourself in the word of something another. This is the Kickstarter. We talked about this during Kickstarters. This is the animal-centric thingy. Based upon Dungeons and Lasers. We talked about this, the Wizards of the Coast anime-style iconic party for the Japanese release, and just, wow, compared to anime-style art from 20 years ago, this art is just like, wow. Morpheus has partnered with Mana Project Studios to release some of the role-playing games Mana Project Studios has made onto the general market. If you're not familiar with them, they made this game, and they made, pretty much that and a couple other games that you probably haven't heard of. And they're also working on a post-apocalypse book based upon the writings of Mana's Project Studios. But that's great, Modifius, that you are, reaching out to some smaller press people and gobbling them up into your family of games that you produce and protect and stuff like that. And releasing some lesser-known projects, maybe under 2D20, maybe under their own systems, but just under the Modifius banner. But we would really like to see you maybe actually buy another IP that could actually maybe sell you, because, your Cthulhu IP is doing okay, and Dune's doing okay, and your Star Trek is doing okay, and Conan, I guess, despite it being like one of your most popular ones, was not doing well enough that you sold it off to somebody else who will probably just make 5e Conan. So I think everybody was like, hey, what would be great, Modifius, if you and Free League got together, made a trust fund, and bought the rights to Elder Scrolls. We already know you've done an Elder Scrolls adventure game. If you could do an Elder Scrolls role-playing game, Odysseus, and do it justice, that way you would get all the role-playing fans and all the Elder Scroll fans together on one conceit unit and go, yes, finally, this is the game everybody's been wanting to play. At least, I guess. I don't know. Or it might totally bomb like the World of Warcraft role-playing game did. Everybody remember the World of Warcraft role-playing game? People were like, oh, yeah, it's a World of Warcraft role-playing game. It'll capture all the energy and excitement of World of Warcraft, the MMO. Hear that? That's all the voices of people who thought the board game, tabletop role-playing game did a good enough job capturing the role-play. Stop that. Time goes back. Repeat that. What I meant to say was that noise you hear is all the voices of the people who felt the tabletop role-playing game of World of Warcraft did the actual World of Warcraft game justice. I.e. none. And speaking of Achtung Cthulhu, looks like they're doing an Achtung Cthulhu adventure path. Some more Kickstarter. Yeah, not much else going on. Fishing role-playing games. Here's the second one. There's 2 fishing role-playing games we've seen mentioned this week. So is that the future of role-playing beer and pretzel games? Role-playing games about fishing? I don't know, because I think that's awesome, but I think I'm alone in thinking that's an awesome idea. But yeah, I think it's just somebody who are just embracing the ridiculous point the hobby has reached with all the niche products. So they're just like, what's the most niche thing we can think of? Oh, all the fishing quests that pop up in role-playing games and video games and board games. Let's do a role-playing games based upon that, fishing quest idea. And well, I mean, at least I think they're awesome. I don't know if anybody else does, but I think it's a great idea. We know about the Lord of the Rings 5e being released, and that seems to be about it. So it doesn't look like there's a lot of stories we missed. One last check. Hey, did you know you can now get D&D themed clothing, including D&D themed underwear and D&D themed socks? Because, yeah, I was pretty sure you could always do that, but I guess not. That seems to be it. So the main topic of news this week is there is none. ORC is still being argued over at Paizo on the Paizo Discord. I've included the links to the Paizo Discord. So if you want to find out what's going on with ORC and you have a couple hours to translate into legalese to English, there you go. But as we know, as of today, nothing new. We're still waiting for the final product. Hopefully soon, since some other projects are already being released under the ORC, like Chaosium's new version of their basic rules, which sadly, according to all the reviews, seem to sort of fall short, including having blatant editing and mistakes in it. And we check to see what's going on with Tales of the Valiant, and nothing. We check to see what's going on with 1D&D, and nothing, except, of course, we now know it is no longer called 1D&D. It is no longer called 5th edition. It is not called 5.5, and it is not called 6. It has a brand new name because it's an amusement park, an ecosystem. And that brand new name is they don't have one. They haven't given us one yet. So until they come up with one, I'm calling it D&D Evolved. And if they call it D&D Evolved, I'm suing them. Not that I win, but I said it first. And then we checked what's going on with the rest of the gaming world, and not a lot. Nothing really exciting, which is weird because it's almost summer and con season is coming up. So this is the big time where we would see the huge announcements. I mean, it's, April, May, June, July, August, 5 months to San Diego Comic-Con, April, May, June, 3 months to summer break. All the other conventions are coming up. We've got a convention even here in Ventura supposedly coming up, which Luke Gygax will supposedly be at. I think I should try and go and get an interview with him. Hey, Mr. Gygax, what do you think of some of these internet people who claim they know everything about your dad? What do you think about those guys? Yeah, that'd be fun. Other than that, strangely quiet week. Guess everybody's just sort of waiting to see what Wizards of the Coast is going to do next and then sort of pounce on the corpse like a hyena and go, all right, it's weak. Take it down. Drag it away from the herd. We can take advantage of their latest press disaster. God love you, Wizards of the Coast. If you didn't exist, I would have nothing to talk about except for Call of Cthulhu and Marvel superhero role-playing. And if you appreciate listening to me talk about absolutely nothing, let me know. Give me a like, give me a share, give me a subscribe. Help me reach 2,000 subs by the end of the year. And if you're feeling generous, remember my birthday is only like 6 months away. So it's a great time to consider supporting the OGGM. And the best way you can do that is to sign up for my Patreon, which is live now. It's the best way to get all the latest projects I have created. You're guaranteed to at least 2 projects a month if you're on the mailing list. That's what the Patreon is right now, just a mailing list, because I don't know what else to do with it. Or you can head on over to Big Geek Emporium and pick up issues 1 through 10 of Minions on a Mission. It's my little bit of OGL system agnostic monster zines. Each one of the 10 issues is dedicated to one specific monster. They're a great little way to find out about the various creatures that populate the fantasy world and my unusually sarcastic take on them. It supports me. It supports Big Geeks Emporium. So yeah, win-win for everybody. So those are the 2 best ways to support me. If you want to support me, that's it for today. If you have anything else you want to talk about, let me know. If you haven't had a chance to like, share, and subscribe, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. And until then, have a great day. I've been the OGGM, and you have been awesome. I will talk to you later, losers.